Emma Doyle was a devoted Canadian nurse searching for love. Arjun Mehta was a smooth-talking stranger from India with a hidden past. Their whirlwind romance ended not in a happily ever after, but in a blood-soaked apartment and a global manhunt for a missing killer. In 2020, Emma Doyle, a 32-year-old registered nurse living in Calgary, was feeling the weight of solitude. She had spent the better part of a decade building her career, working long shifts in emergency rooms, and helping others while putting her personal life on hold. With the world going through a pandemic and isolation setting in, Emma decided to try online dating, not locally, but internationally. She joined a global matchmaking website, hoping to find someone who shared her values and longed for a meaningful connection. It didn't take long before she connected with Arjun Mehta, a 29-year-old man from New Delhi, India. Arjun's profile stood out. He claimed to be a software engineer, well-spoken, respectful, and family-oriented. His photos showed him in buttoned-up shirts, standing next to his mother, and even volunteering at a local temple. Emma was charmed. Their conversations became daily rituals, filled with talks of shared dreams, culture, and the future. Arjun expressed admiration for Canada and said he planned to settle there someday. He even began using affectionate nicknames and talking about marriage within weeks. By the third month, Emma decided to take a leap of faith and travel to India. It was her first trip overseas alone, but she was excited. Arjun met her at the airport with flowers, and from that moment, everything felt like a movie. He introduced her to his family, took her sightseeing, and within 10 days, proposed marriage in front of his relatives. Emma accepted without hesitation. A small wedding followed, full of vibrant colors, music, and traditional rituals. Friends back in Canada celebrated her romantic whirlwind journey, believing she had finally found her happily ever after. But behind Arjun's charming demeanor, something sinister was already beginning to take shape, and Emma had no idea. After returning to Calgary, Emma was filled with excitement. She was now married and ready to start a new chapter of life with Arjun. She immediately began the process of sponsoring his spousal visa, submitting documents, attending interviews, and paying legal fees. The total cost began to add up quickly, but Emma didn't mind. She was deeply invested, emotionally and financially. She believed Arjun was her life partner and was eager to bring him to Canada. They video chatted every day, and he kept telling her how much he missed her and couldn't wait to be by her side. Soon, Arjun began requesting money. At first, it was small amounts, for visa paperwork, internet bills, or medicine for his mother. Then came larger sums. He said he had lost his job due to the pandemic and was struggling to pay rent. Emma wired him thousands of dollars over several months, convinced that her support was temporary. Arjun was always grateful, always promising to pay her back once he moved. But the truth was far from what he claimed. Unbeknownst to Emma, Arjun had been involved in similar patterns before. In India, he had pursued other women through dating sites, charming them into relationships and convincing them to send money. There were no formal complaints or police reports, just rumors whispered among acquaintances and vague stories that never made it far. His social media presence was carefully curated, showing only what he wanted others to see. No one knew his true intentions, not even his own family. Emma's family began noticing cracks. Her sister questioned how much money she had sent and why Arjun never seemed to make an effort to help himself. But Emma brushed it off. She believed love required sacrifice. What she didn't know was that Arjun was never coming for love. He was coming for something else entirely. In April 2021, after nearly a year of paperwork, delays, and mounting expenses, Arjun finally arrived in Calgary on a spousal visa. Emma was overjoyed. She greeted him at the airport with a handmade sign, tears in her eyes, and a heart full of hope. Their small apartment was decorated with candles, flowers, and photos from their wedding in India. Emma believed this was the beginning of the life they had dreamed about together. But from the moment Arjun stepped off the plane, something felt off. In the early days, Arjun played the part of a devoted husband. He cooked dinner, complimented Emma, and even talked about starting a family. But slowly, cracks began to show. He avoided physical intimacy and seemed disinterested in spending time with her outside of the apartment. He often stayed up late, glued to his phone or laptop, claiming he was job hunting or messaging friends back home. When Emma suggested they go out or explore the city, he made excuses. He said he was tired, adjusting to the new time zone, or not feeling well. Within weeks, Arjun's mood shifted. He became distant, irritable, and short-tempered. Emma tried to be patient, thinking he was just overwhelmed by the transition. She began doing more, working extra shifts, cleaning up after him, and continuing to handle the finances. What she didn't realize was that Arjun had already started reaching out to other women online. He created a new dating profile under a false name, claiming to be a single entrepreneur starting a new life in Canada. That's how he met Melissa Clarke, a 26-year-old marketing assistant living just a few neighborhoods away. Arjun told her he was new in town, unattached, and looking for something real. Melissa had no idea she was about to step into the middle of a deadly web of lies. By July 2021, Emma's once bright outlook had faded. She was quieter, thinner, and emotionally drained. Her sister, Hannah, came to visit for a long weekend and immediately noticed the tension. Arjun barely spoke to her, often retreating into the bedroom or disappearing for hours without explanation. Emma smiled through it, insisting everything was fine, but her forced cheerfulness didn't hide the exhaustion in her eyes. When Hannah pressed her about Arjun's behavior, Emma brushed it off, saying marriage took adjustment and that Arjun just needed time to settle in. After returning home, Hannah couldn't shake the feeling that something was deeply wrong. She began researching Arjun's background, starting with the few details Emma had shared. His LinkedIn profile was sparse, with vague job titles and no verifiable work history. The company he claimed to work for in India didn't have any record of him. His Instagram was recently created, filled mostly with filtered selfies and pictures from his wedding. Red flags were everywhere, but Emma refused to listen. She believed people were just being unfair to Arjun. Meanwhile, Melissa Clarke began noticing strange inconsistencies of her own. Arjun never let her take photos of him and never posted about her online. He always insisted on meeting at her apartment or in remote spots, never in public places where someone might recognize him. One day, while scrolling through a local Facebook group, Melissa stumbled upon a photo from Emma's wedding that someone had shared. Her heart sank. The man standing beside the bride was Arjun, wearing the same watch, the same smile, but under a different name. Shocked and furious, Melissa confronted him. Arjun downplayed it, claiming the marriage was over and had only been for immigration purposes. But Melissa wasn't convinced. She threatened to tell his wife. That threat would soon seal her fate. On the evening of August 14, 2021, residents of a quiet apartment complex in northeast Calgary heard a loud thud followed by what sounded like a scream. A few neighbors paused, concerned, but dismissed it as an argument or a television turned up too loud. No one called the police. By morning, a strange silence settled over Emma Doyle's apartment. Her blinds were drawn, and her car remained unmoved. Around noon, water began leaking into the apartment below. A maintenance worker was sent to investigate. What he found behind the unlocked door would haunt him forever. Inside, the apartment was in disarray. Furniture had been overturned, dishes shattered on the kitchen floor. In the bathroom, Emma's body was discovered submerged in a half-filled tub, her face bruised, her lips split. There were signs of a violent struggle. In the bedroom, the horror deepened. Melissa Clarke's body was hidden under the bed, partially wrapped in a bloodied bedsheet. She had been strangled, and her fingernails were broken, suggesting she had fought desperately for her life. Detectives arrived quickly and began piecing together the timeline. Forensic evidence showed both women had been killed within hours of each other. Emma's phone was found smashed near the bathroom, while Melissa's purse and phone were missing entirely. Surveillance footage from the apartment complex revealed Arjun leaving just after 5 a.m., dragging a large suitcase and wearing a black hoodie. He exited through a side entrance, avoiding cameras near the front. Police believe Melissa came to confront Arjun about his lies that night. Emma may have overheard the argument, or perhaps walked in unexpectedly. What followed was a burst of brutal violence. 2 women silenced within hours, their lives destroyed by the same man. Arjun Mehta had vanished, leaving behind only blood, lies, and a trail gone cold. As news of the double homicide spread, the community was left in shock. Emma Doyle, a dedicated nurse known for her kindness and compassion, and Melissa Clarke, a vibrant young woman full of ambition, had both lost their lives in a senseless act of betrayal and violence. The suspect, Arjun Mehta, had vanished without a trace. A Canada-wide manhunt was launched within days. Border alerts were issued, Airports were put on notice, and Interpol was contacted in case he attempted to flee the country. Investigators followed every lead. Security footage placed Arjun at a Calgary bus terminal just hours after the murders. He was seen boarding a bus headed for Vancouver. From there, the trail went cold. No credit card activity, no phone usage, and no sightings. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air. Authorities speculated he may have had help, perhaps from an acquaintance or someone he had manipulated into assisting him. Others believed he had crossed into the U.S. using fake documents or had already boarded a flight back to India under a false identity. Despite international warrants and continued efforts by law enforcement, Arjun Mehta remains a fugitive. His face appeared on wanted posters, true crime blogs, and international news broadcasts, but no confirmed sightings ever came through. The suitcase he was seen carrying that morning was never recovered. Some feared it may have contained disturbing evidence, or worse. Emma's family turned their pain into purpose. They began campaigning for stricter screening and spousal visa applications, urging the government to close the loopholes that had allowed a predator to enter the country. Melissa's loved ones started a foundation to support victims of relationship fraud and violence. Years later, the question remains unanswered. Where is Arjun Mehta? Until he is found, justice for Emma and Melissa remains heartbreakingly incomplete.